if you have an objection, I'd imagine you should turn your computer off now if you wanted by the police or anything like that. So just do that. So basically, welcome along to In Conservation with this my new series that I'm trying to get off the ground, talking to some of the sort of the names, the leading names in the natural history world. And don't laugh, Alan, because you're one of them. In the natural history world, and it's really fascinating the types of people we've had so far. But today, I'm really happy to have two of my really good friends, Ruth and Alan, as opposed to Alan and Ruth. I always see them Ruth and Alan. Before we actually start, I just want to do some housekeeping. For those who have entered, can everyone, and it seems like most people have, can everyone actually put themselves on mute? And if you wish to ask a question at any point, then please look at the bottom of your computer screen. If you've got a laptop, it should be right at the very right-hand side of all the things you got down there, and it should have a button that says reactions, and just put your hand up to wave, and I'll look out for you. And if you've got a tablet or an iPad or what have you, then apparently it's in the right-hand corner, there's a couple of dots up there, and you basically press that to actually get involved. So that's the housekeeping. I'm also, as I said, recording this. So Ruth and Alan.
You can't do it. It just doesn't
work. Do it
work.
alphabetically.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work, does it?
You know, if
age before beauty, I'm fine with that.
When you have a couple of people who are just known by their first names, then you know that you're onto something quite interesting. These people, Ruth and Alan, have been known to me for a long time. Our classmates are very good friends of mine, and I'm sure most of you know of them and their antics. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome.
Good afternoon, David.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
And what's life like in Wales at the moment under lockdown?
Well, it's annoyingly sunny outside, but then it always is sunny in Wales, isn't it? Everyone knows that it's one of the sunniest parts of the UK. It's all a bit weird, isn't it? This new normal. Can't say I'm really enjoying it too much, but it has some benefits. It's so quiet outside. You know, we can wake up and hear birdsong first thing in the morning as opposed to traffic or people. So it's definitely got some benefits.
It's quite interesting because I had Chris Watson with me a few days ago. Chris Watson is David Attenborough's sound man, amongst other things.
Yeah.
And he had a really interesting theory about the fact that we can hear so many birds singing at the moment. Obviously, it's because, well, most of the reason is because there's no background noise, no traffic and planes and stuff flying over. But what he said, which was really interesting, was, and he kind of worked it out because he was recording his local blackbird, he said that the birds themselves can actually hear other territories, which they never normally could have heard.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's so vigorous because I think, God, he sings better than me. Better
That's cool. Yeah,
but it's a really interesting thing. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, and going back to Wales, I mean, I've been to Wales many times, but I went to Anglesey a few years ago, and it was amazing because I crossed over the Menai Strait, and it was like going into the Mediterranean. It was like blue skies, sunshine, hot.
It's almost like that. It's always like that every day.
Okay. Someone says they can't access a sound interview. Okay, he's going to try again. Okay. Anyway, let's start at the very beginning. Ruth and Alan, you both met each other at the RSPB, but can you just give us a bit of a potted history before you actually met? Starting with you, Ruth.
Oh,
always start with Ruth.
Potted history? I mean, how far back do you want to go?
Birth.
Well, let's go back to when you first realised that you were interested in natural history.
Well, I realised early on, and then there was a huge wilderness in my life when I wasn't really engaged with it. So I grew up in the countryside in Kent, and in case I'm preempting a question that comes later, one of the first birds I got engaged with was the bullfinch, because where I grew up, there were orchards all around my house, and so I'd see a lot of bullfinches feeding on buds and trees, and that really got me hooked. What were these fantastic pink birds? They were gorgeous. So I kind of learned all about the birds when I was younger. And then, well, I did the usual thing of growing up, went to college, started working in London, got sidetracked by other things. But there's always something missing. I always had to go out at the weekend on what I call a welly boot walk, just to get back out into the country again. And I guess I strayed from the path of wildlife, if you like, until I got the chance to go and work for the RSPB at Sandy in Bedfordshire. And then I jumped right back in it again with 2 feet and grabbed every opportunity, because one thing, certainly it was the case then, now, I don't know if it is still now, but you were really encouraged as a member of staff to get involved with things. So I would do nightjar surveys in Thetford Forest, and the Volunteer and Farmer Alliance project. I'd go out walking around farm fields, logging birds and things. So I was really getting back into it again. And then I met this character here.
Nightmare.
And
his life was never the same again.
It all went wrong.
What about you, Alan?
Well, I've always been a bit like yourself, David, absolutely bird obsessed since I was a very small kid. Yeah, so I don't know why, what the truth was, can't really say, but always been birds since I was about 5 or 6 years old. And then went to work for the nature conservation organisations when I left school for a while. And then, like Ruth said, other things tend to take over your life a little bit. So getting a mortgage, buying a house, that sort of thing. So I had to get a proper job and spent a lot of time doing proper jobs, but always birding at the weekends, mad keen birder, always. And then had the opportunity to go and work for the RSPB, which was brilliant. And then spent some time there. And then I'd met Ruth, of course, which was the most wonderful thing ever. And then our life changed considerably. Yeah, amazing. So having worked for the RSPB, we set up a big adventure together, and life's never been the same since. It's been incredibly lucky. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's actually go to the moment. I like a bit of romance. What was the moment? What happened when you first clapped eyes on each other?
Oh, Lord. Do you want the story from me?
You know what? Let's have the male and female perspective, because it's always different. So, Ruth, what was your perspective?
Oh, sorry.
Alan first, is it? Okay, Alan, what was your first thought when you saw Ruth romantically for the first time?
Well, Ruth turned up at RSPB Conway where I was a site manager, and as you well know, David, I'm not a great one for administration, so I hadn't actually read the email that announcing the arrival of said person from Lodge. I had no idea who she was when she turned up. So she got the exact same treatment that everybody else gets when they arrive at RSPB Conway. They get offered a cup of tea and a piece of cake, and then they get taken on a walk around the reserve, because I'm always desperate to get out on site. So we went around the reserve, saw some birds, talked about the intricacies of hybrid widgeon versus American widgeon, Eurasian widgeon, and came back to the visitor centre, and that's when she announced she was actually the head of trading. So I had no idea who she was or why she was there. I just thought she was just some random person who walked in off the street and just wanted to have a look around the reserve. So a little bit awkward moment, to say the least, but it moved on from there rapidly.
But at that moment, you knew that you wanted to have more conversations with this lady.
Well, yes, she was vaguely attractive, and she was, and she was my boss. It seemed reasonable to keep in touch.
And Ruth, what was your version of this story?
Well, actually, quite a few of the facts are the same. Although originally, I wasn't actually supposed to meet Alan. I was head of trading, as he says, and part of my job was to keep an eye on the reserves that had shops and cafes and that sort of thing. And so in North Wales, where I happened to have a handy sister living, I could visit her, as well as seeing RSPB Conway and RSPB South Stack. I was actually due to visit his boss, Alan's boss. But unfortunately, his boss, Alistair, was going away on holiday on the times that I was going. And he wouldn't rearrange his holiday, which seemed a bit inconsiderate. But he said, well, here's the number for Alan Davies at Conway. Give him a call and he'll look after you.
I did.
And I don't think he's ever said anything more prophetic. So yes, I met Alan and he took me around the reserve, and yes, we did spend a lot of time looking at this hybrid American widgeon, which was great. But sneakier than that, was it that meeting or was it a subsequent one?
Same one.
There were waxwings around and I had to go past them on my way home. So he said, well, if you call in at this hotel, the car park, wait there and see if you can see them. Hello? We've got
You've changed, David. You've changed.
Can I just
somebody else?
There we go. He's back again.
Can I just say to everyone in the in this meeting, or whatever you want to call it, this gathering for conservation, can you turn off your microphones, please, everyone, until you get to a point where you need to ask a question. So please turn off your microphones. Thank you. Sorry, as you were, Ruth.
Yeah.
So he says, right, you're going to be driving past this hotel. Why don't you hang around there for a bit and see if the waxwings come in? Here's my mobile number. Why don't you give me a call to let me know if you see them?
Good move, Alan. Good move.
Smooth operator.
Little Miss Innocent here didn't twig. Goes to hotel. Good gen, top gen, sit in the car park. Waxwings come over. So I ring him up, excited. I've just seen them. I've just seen them. So I was passing on bird news, which went on Birdline Northwest, but also it meant he got my mobile number, hadn't he? Smooth operator.
Very good. I must think of that next time.
Yeah, it's always a good one. Give the ladies the bird information and then get the call back.
So you then kind of, I suppose, worked at the RSPB separately because you were at the lodge, were you not, Ruth?
Yes, I was.
Well, whereas you were in Conway.
Awkward.
Yeah. So, okay, let's skip the whole sort of story together now and what have you. So you both decide at the same time, obviously, to leave the RSPB on this great, intrepid adventure that you'd planned. Can you talk us briefly through that?
Yep. Well, I was promoted beyond my ability, so I was ready for a change because I joined the RSPB to watch birds, and I'm sure many people who work for the RSPB know that watching birds, unfortunately, isn't a great part of your job, I'm afraid, much to the disillusionment of me when I joined the RSPB, naively thinking I'd be spending my whole day bird watching. I soon found myself in charge of a team of 13 people, and that meant I spent an awful lot of my day doing appraisals, one-to-ones, managing budgets, doing budget forecasts, sending emails, replying to emails from people at the lodge, and didn't see much birds. So great fun in the initial years, but more and more the Conway RSPB expanded, the less and less time I had in the field. Time to move on, do some birding, get back into full-time birding and go crazy. So luckily Ruth agreed, and we set off on an amazing adventure around the world.
But where did the seed come from? Why did you decide to do this Biggie's Twitch? Why did you decide that?
Bird fair. Before I answer that, though, we can't see everybody. We've just got a thin pencil of people at the top. And I can spot Alex from Georgia sitting in the top right-hand corner. Hi, Alex. So we've got somebody all the way from Georgia sitting in on this. Apologies if there's other people further afield. Sure, so no, it was Bird Fair, which I know you go to every year, as do we. Wouldn't miss it for the world. But the trouble is it gives you ideas, doesn't it? Dangerous ideas, and usually expensive ones too. There is so many fantastic destinations there. We came back one year thinking, you know, there's all these places and all these birds out there and we're just not getting to see them. And I don't actually know which one of us first came up with the idea, whether we just came up with it over a cup of coffee, but neither of us had a good reason for not doing it.
This was just for a year of travel. It wasn't the biggest twitch.
Oh, no.
The idea was to take a year out, do a year traveling and just enjoy some of the amazing bird spectacles we'd always wanted to see and visit some of the parts of the world we'd always wanted to visit. So that was the initial idea, was just to go off and enjoy ourselves for a year, basically.
But then it morphed into this.
It did, yes.
This horrible monster.
A friend of ours called Ian Campbell said, well, if you're going to go to all that effort, it's still a fair bit of effort, even if you just got a round the world ticket and a few side trips or whatever. So if you're going to go to that effort, why don't you do something useful? Useful was his word. And set a new world record. Didn't even know there was one at that point. So we did a bit of research and found, oh yeah, there was actually. It'd been set by an American in 1989. 3,662 species.
We thought we might be able to beat that.
We'll have a go at that.
Give a bit of a purpose for our gap year for oldies and give it a go. So we did.
Okay, let me just interrupt you for a second. I've got a question here from Rui. Where are you, Rui? Rui? Okay, Rui, I got you.
Fire away.
You're live, Rui. You can speak.
I managed to get your sound. I can't figure out how to get you to hear me.
Oh, we can hear you now.
We can hear you.
Hi, Rui.
Hi, Rui.
Hi.
How are you?
I have read your book and I enjoyed it a lot.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And I've got an autographed copy of it.
Excellent.
Fabulous.
Nice to see you again.
And you, and both of you.
Is that your question, Rui?
No, initially it was about I couldn't get the sound on, but
okay, well,
we get it out in a different way. So
it's nice hearing from you, Rui. Anyway.
Yeah, I met you as well once in Conway Reserve.
I thought I recognised you.
Yes.
Anyway,
never forgotten.
By the way, whilst I'm actually got the gallery up, can everyone hear us? Because I know one or two people have had problems hearing. Can you show a sign like waving your hands like this or something like this. And the ones that haven't got their sort of, oh, good, you got your thumbs up, good, okay, you can all hear. All right, so we've now got back to this point where it morphed into this record-breaking scenario.
Oh yes, that really changed things. That really upped the ante. Because then we had to work out where to be at what time of year to get the maximum number of birds. So we kind of looked at a world map and we worked out, well, we need to be in this country at this month and this country in that month and this country in that month. Well, that one doesn't matter when we have to go, so we can slot that in anywhere. And we got quite a long living room, luckily. We got this long piece of paper that represented the whole year with each week. So we had 52 blocks of weeks marked out on this long piece of paper. And we had 52 small blocks. And we wrote what country we thought we should be and where we should be. And we kind of shuffled them all around. And we ended up with, I think it was 18 months of travel, didn't we?
About that. I'd do some serious pruning of our wish list of where we wanted to go.
Because of course it had to be done in 12 months, didn't it? It was a calendar month.
Okay.
Fran's question.
No, someone can't see all of us. Fran B says she can't see. I think you need to, there's a button or an icon or whatever you want to call it in the screen that says gallery view. If you click that, you might be able to see everyone. You can actually control how many people you want to see. So try that, Fran, to get through. So obviously your story is encapsulated in the publication over Alan's shoulder behind you. Rich.
Who put that there? How did that get there? How strange. What a weird incidence.
Having read it, I know that there were some ups and downs during that whole thing. Can you tell us about a couple of the ups and one or two of the downs?
Blimey.
It's a long time ago.
Where to begin? Yeah. Well, one of the biggest up for me, to start on a positive note, was seeing my all-time one and only wanted bird in the world. So when I was about 7 years old, I got a book called The Hamling Guide to Birds of Prey. You may want to have the same book, David, about the same era. So a book that sort of generally excited people about birds of prey and how amazing they were. And I remember seeing a picture in that book when I was about 7 years old of this harpy eagle dismembering a monkey. As a 7-year-old kid, I thought, wow, that is a bird I want to see. And it took a long time, but eventually, 2008, we had the opportunity to go to Brazil and see the harpy eagle at its nest. And it was every bit as awesome as I thought it was going to be. It was absolutely mind-blowing experience, religious experience, if you like, and absolutely wonderful. And those are the moments that made the biggest switch. Absolutely the best thing we've ever done and best thing probably ever will do. Yeah, it was amazing to bring all those experiences together in one short space of time. Was magical.
Yeah. What was your moment, Ruth?
Highlight? Well, I think one of them must be seeing Toco Toucan for real in Brazil, because that was our mascot. In fact, bear with me.
Mascot. The biggest twitch was the Toco Toucan.
Was the Toco Toucan.
Drum roll.
Drum roll. Ta-da!
What do you think it is?
He's still alive and well.
The actual same Toco Toucan. It's
knocking on a bit now.
It's getting a bit grubby now, but so would you be if you'd been a suitcased around 27 different countries. But he was our mascot, he was our logo, and so he came with us everywhere. And to actually see the real thing in Brazil was just mind-blowing. They are every bit as fantastic as he looks. They really do have such a ridiculous bill. They really do have blue feet. I mean, they're just wonderful things. Maybe not necessarily the nicest nature, but hey, you can't have everything, can you?
Not at all.
Downsides. You wanted to speak about
Just one downside.
We certainly had some pretty scary moments. Yeah, we were probably the most terrifying moment was being caught in a bushfire in South Africa. Yeah, we were literally surrounded by fire on all four sides and trapped in a building. The flames licked against every window in the building, and that was absolutely petrifying. Yeah, the whole building was full of smoke and ash and soot, and we were just waiting to die, basically. That was absolutely terrifying. But luckily, the strong winds that day blew the fire through before it actually got hold on the building, and we were able to survive. But yeah, a lot of people
didn't think we were going to, though, did we?
We really thought we were dead. Yeah, absolutely did think that was it. It's the final moments of life was that standing in that smoke-filled room, was waiting for the flames to break through the windows. It was absolutely petrifying. Yeah.
No, I can see a movie here.
Still gives us shivers down the spine to think about that moment. Yeah. So
okay, now
did die that day. 14 people died in that fire. So we
really.
Yeah, it was terrible. Awful.
I just noticed that Rue still has his hand up. Are you are you you're not having a question now? You need to take your hand down if you haven't got a question.
You got a question, maybe?
Yeah, just go to your. Have you got a question?
No.
Okay, well,
Nope.
try and lower your hand. Has anyone else got a question regarding the biggest Twitch antics? Anyone? Okay, well, we shall carry on then. So,
I've got a question. Can you hear
sorry.
me?
Yep.
Hello.
Hi, I just want, did you come across other people doing the same thing as you?
What, going for a big year record?
Yes.
Not a global one. We did meet some people who were going for a US record, and we did meet a gentleman called Peter Kessner in India, in one of the remotest corners of India, and he was aiming to see. He worked for the American Diplomatic Service. He was posted to India, and he was aiming to see all the birds of India while he was there. He's got an incredible world list. It must be
9,000.
Yeah, something like that. And we found ourselves staying in the same place as him.
Well, he stayed with his house, which was nice.
Yeah, well, he had 13 birds to go when we first met him, and we're chatting away over dinner. We were actually doing a homestay in Nagaland, because this is such a remote area, not normally allowed in there, but we had got special permission and he had too. We're chatting away, and he said, well, if there's anything, if you need any help at all while you're in India, just let me know. And something we did that year quite shamelessly was, if anyone said that, we usually took them up on it. So a few days later, it was, oh, hello. You said you offered to help. We're going to be in Delhi in a few days' time. Is there any chance we could come and stay with you and maybe do some birding with you? And he was brilliant. He took us out, took us to some most wonderful dumps, didn't he? But we saw some excellent birds. He was such a nice man, and he's still very active on Facebook. So if you're on there, then you might come across him. But we certainly at the time didn't come across anyone else who was doing a global big year.
It's quite an unusual thing. Yeah, it's a pretty specialist thing to do.
Quite an undertaking.
Yeah, it's a bit mad.
Would you ever do it again?
No, no chance.
Well, it's funny, when we came back, lots of people said, would you do it again? We said, oh yes, in a heartbeat. And we would have done at the time. But time's moved on. The bank balance is empty.
Yeah. We'd rather take our time and enjoy watching birds now.
Okay, got a question here. Yep. I haven't even got your name here, actually.
Anonymous question.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So,
name, since I've been drinking that disinfectant.
Oh.
My name is Alec Earnshaw. I just wanted to comment that Peter Kessner was the first person in the world, or first person to ever have seen one species of every family.
Wow. Alec, hello.
Hi.
Somebody from Argentina now as well. Sorry, Alex, you've been bumped into second place now.
and his boss was he was the boss of a guy that I met here in Argentina who was also in the embassy, who took up birding because of Peter.
Fantastic. He's a lovely guy, really nice
fantastic.
Man. He's such a nice man. Yeah, he's
As are you. It's wonderful to see you here, Alec.
All best up.
Alec is one of the guys who helped us during the biggest switch. So we owe Alec a big favour. He showed us a lot of birds in Argentina. It was great fun birding with him.
And more recently too, he gave us very useful information when we were rather stuck up a creek without a paddle in southern Argentina.
Yeah, he's a good man.
That's a whole nother story.
Another whole nother story. Great to see you. Yeah.
So just staying on this subject for one more minute, basically, in terms of the birds you saw, what bird is still left for you guys to see? I know you saw that amazing bird that you're looking for, but what bird now have you not seen but you really want to see?
That's a tough one.
It is.
We've been very, very lucky.
What can beat a harpy eagle?
Maybe the Philippines eagle, I guess, yeah. Philippines eagle would be a good one to get. I recently saw Stella's eagle. That was my next, after the harpy, was Stella's eagle. To get that in Japan in February. So, yeah, Philippines eagle would be good. I think a bit of a theme recurring here. Large eagles, I like to.
Whereas you see, we've been very lucky in that we both recently kind of knocked off our last most wanted. I've obviously got a thing about birds that are black, white and yellow because I really, really wanted to see king penguin. which I managed to see in South Georgia last November. So now I'm thinking probably what I really like to see is something rather smaller scale, a marvelous spatule tail, please.
Oh, beautiful.
You've seen that, David?
I think I have actually, yeah.
You had in Peru, didn't you? I think you saw that in Peru.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I have. Okay, well, talking about countries and travel, let's kind of move forward now into your career, because obviously after the biggest twitch, you came to a decision, I suppose. You were back in the UK and thinking what to do next. So that's when you decided to set up a tour operation. So talk us through that.
Well, when you've done something like that, it probably does change you rather a lot. And who, quite frankly, is going to employ us after we've done something like chucking in our jobs and traveling the world? And quite frankly, do you want to be tied to a desk the whole time? So we just wanted to carry on spending time watching birds, and people have been so good to us, pointing us in the right direction and that sort of thing while we were doing our big year. We wanted to put some of that back and start sharing our birds with other people. We did do other bits and pieces to keep the roof over our heads. I was a marketer. I've always been a marketer. And so I was lucky enough to do some part-time work for a marketing agency here in North Wales. So that was helpful. And you did some contract work, didn't you?
For Leica,
So that helped. But what we really wanted to do was our bird watching tours. So initially just you, and then gradually we grew it and grew it. So now we do, both of us. And when we're out there guiding, it's what we do for a living.
We did before coronavirus.
We're all grounded.
Just remember it.
Now we just dream about it now.
Yeah, well, we might as well address the white elephant in the room, which is the whole, I mean, I'm also in your boat in that I'm grounded. I travel all the time as well.
Yep.
Where do you stand when it comes to the carbon footprint scenario? Because you must get criticised.
Sure.
And everywhere. What's your response to people who say to you, "What you're doing, jumping on a plane every 5 minutes? Why can't you do slow holidays in UK?"
Yeah, it's obviously a very valid criticism, and obviously we do need to look after our planet, and reducing carbon out is a massive part of that deal, to look after the planet. We only got the one as far as we know. We need to cherish everything about it. But on the other flip side of that is that if we don't travel, a lot of our wildlife is going to disappear without us ever knowing, without us ever experiencing it. Huge numbers of wildlife conservation projects around the world depend absolutely on foreign tourists visiting those areas, paying their money into those national parks, paying the local guides, paying the infrastructure, using the hotels, using the local community resources. They're absolutely vital to protect our forests and our wildlife, and our whole of the planet is much depending on a lot of these people working hard on a local basis and being supported by foreign tourism. Take away that tourism, a lot of the wildlife is going to disappear almost overnight. I mean, classic example that we've experienced is the mountain gorilla project in Uganda. Forests there, it's amazing. The fantastic upland mountain forest there where the gorillas live is pristine forest. Outside the national park, there is no forest, nothing. It is every inch of the land is farmed or used for human habitation and human use. The only area that has survived is the area that's protected from the national park. And that national park is funded almost entirely by foreign income and foreign tourists visiting that park. Take away that income, the national park, I'm sure, would collapse. Forest would be cut down immediately and turned into farmland. So these projects absolutely depend on foreign tourism.
Well, that is totally right, because, you know, I think all of us, or most of us in the travel industry, in terms of the natural history, wildlife travel industry, hopefully have that kind of, you know, thinking when we do our tours. Because, for example, I lead tours to Serbia, and even though the places I go to are actually quite urban in northern Serbia, it's also the place where there's the most amount of owls on the planet. And prior to tourism, people were killing the owls because for them, the owls were actually, you know, birds of doom. Then all of a sudden, when they saw tourists coming, the local economy starts boosting, and people suddenly realize, hang on a minute, it's worth having them.
You've got to make them realize that the creatures alive are worth much more to them over a longer time than the one-time benefit of killing them and selling them, eating them, or whatever it may be. It's kind of sad in a way to say they've got to be monetarized, but that's what it comes down to. If it can help that rural economy survive and potentially thrive, then that's got to be the way to go. I was lucky enough to be in Colombia in December, and I saw some interesting projects going on in the far north. Again, a really, really remote area, and one that had been torn apart through the terrorism and the fighting there. But bird watching was proving a real way for people to rebuild their lives. Some really enthusiastic conservationists from America and then from locals were training people there to learn more about birds and become bird guides in their own right in their areas, particularly the women as well. And so this was bringing money into their family homes. So they were seeing the direct benefits, and they were learning how important it was to protect the forest and protect the natural environment and the species within it, because that's where their future lay.
Absolutely, it's a very important question.
Yeah, sure.
Does anyone else?
Sorry, David. Yeah.
Sorry, Alan.
Yeah, I think the other thing that we need to do more of in the future and right away is actually for conservation organisations and people who are passionate about wildlife and conservation is to work together. And there's an awful lot of infighting and backbiting going on, I think, within the conservation world, within people point scoring, if you like, and just trying to criticize what other people are doing. Everyone's got different ways of working within nature conservation, and there are lots of different threads to the nature conservation organizations. But we're all striving for the same thing at the end of the day. We're all passionate about our wildlife, preserving life on Earth and the planet, and looking after our wildlife. I think if we all came together more and worked coherently together, we'd have a much bigger voice and a much bigger say, rather than splitting off into smaller factions all the time and saying, well, we don't like the RSPB because they're doing this, or we don't like the BTO because they do this, or whatever. There are people out there, lots of people out there that are actually damaging wildlife, actually going out there, killing wildlife, destroying habitat, damaging our planet. Those are the people to go after. Let's go after those people. Chase them down, convert them, change them, stop them, prosecute them if necessary, if they're breaking the law. Let's not fight within ourselves. Let's fight the people who are actually damaging our planet, genuinely damaging the planet. So really going after our wildlife and destroying it physically. So then we can sort out the finer details on a later date.
Yeah. And that's what I've noticed about, for example, the tours that you do. I've been seeing, reading your blogs and stuff, and I noticed that you, as far as I can see, always try to use local people.
Yes.
Absolutely,
yes.
Locations, which is so important, because
That's a huge part of what we do, yeah.
There are some
Massive part of what we do.
companies who go out there and basically do recce themselves and then actually do not use any local people at all. And I think that's so wrong, because there is no money going back into the local economy, and there's no reason for people to even think, well, what's the point of me protecting anything, because I'm not seeing any benefit. So it's very important that that happens as well.
Yeah, as you know, we like cake. we always make massive efforts to find cake shops. We use local restaurants, local cafes for lunches, play in local hotels, eat in local restaurants, and try and put as much money back into the local community and get as many people involved in what we're doing, and talk to people while we're there as well.
Yeah.
And now, if we hadn't been sitting here in Llandudno, we should have been in Donyana, going out with a local guide called Manu, who was going to be taking us around Donyana. And, well, he showed me links a few years ago, so that was our master plan for 2 days with him guiding while we were down there with the Americans. So we always believe in getting involved with the locals when we're down there, because it's so important. We go in, we see the wildlife, we go away again. But these people are there the whole year round. And so they're the ones who can really look after the wildlife in the long term.
That's right. I should have been in Jamaica up until 2 days ago.
Cruel.
That
That's
is
harsh.
harsh.
That's harsh.
Yeah.
And now I should have been in Serbia leading a tour. But we've got
times.
from Robert Oatis. Don't get up, Robert. Sit back down.
He's gone. He's legging it.
And you're on stage.
He's gone.
Robert Oates, was it?
Robert Oates, are you there?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's your turn to speak. You got a question, I believe.
Oh,
And if
right.
not,
Yeah.
wait for now.
Hi, Ruth and Alan. Really enjoyed your book, like everyone else.
Thank you.
Just wondered whether you guys were planning another book, and if so, what is the subject, or what would it be about?
Now we really should be sitting down and doing it. We've got the perfect opportunity, haven't we? It's amazing what you can find to do to fill the time, though. We keep saying we should write another book, maybe about some of the birding adventures we've had since Twitch, because you can imagine in the 10, 12 years since then, And there's been plenty of birds under the bridge and all sorts of scrapes that we've got ourselves into. So that's always a possibility. But I'll throw it back to you. What kind of book would you like to see us write?
Robert.
Oh,
We lost him.
you've got the other books behind you.
You gone?
Oh, hang on, Robert. Say that again.
I was going to say that I would like to see another book about Alan and Ruth's birding trips around the world, because
Excellent.
most of
Making
us
a
like
note as we speak.
Good idea.
most of us like to go birding around the world, and we all do it differently, and we all write in a different style. I really like the style that you guys write in. So yeah, that would be the book that I would next like to see from you.
Well, thanks
Okay,
so much.
thank
Well,
you.
we're working on it. We're working on it. We have ideas. We've been already doing some scribbling and some saving of various blogs and things into a file to start building up a nice war chest, if you like, for the next book. Yeah, so thanks for that. Much appreciated.
It's fun doing a lot of blogs. I'm saying we, but actually it's Alan who's been writing the blogs on our website about our exercise walks on the Great Orme. And thank heavens for the Great Orme, because we live in a fourth floor flat with no outside space. So if we didn't have that for our exercise walk, I think we'd be going stir crazy. But we go out there for our walk every day, and we're so fortunate with the birds that we can see there. You know, you mentioned just the usuals, and the usuals are peregrine, fulmar, red-billed chaff, black guillemot, razorbill, common guillemot, you name it, that sort of birds, lots and lots of birds. And so we've been blogging about them, thinking, oh, are we kind of rubbing it in, the sort of things that we're seeing? We were a bit concerned, first of all, but then we started getting messages from people saying, oh, please do keep going. We are really enjoying what you're posting. You're really helping us. I've been trying to do just snippets of video of the waves against the cliffs and some of the seabirds flying in and out. And again, we've had comments about that. Oh, it's lovely to be able to see it. Please do more of it. So hopefully people are appreciating it. It's not us going, no, look what we can see. Far from it. It's just us trying to continue sharing birds. We can't bring you here to see them yourselves. Then the least we can do is put them out there so you can enjoy them virtually.
Now, Karina Smart is writing a lot of books. So why don't you just speak to us, Karina?
I was
Hi,
on.
Karina.
Sorry. Hiya.
Hi, how you doing? All right.
Welcome to tea.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I was very late. Oh, don't ask.
We were waiting for you, thinking, where is she?
Where is she? Yeah, where is she?
Do you know what happened? My computer went look, and one of my friends had to rescue me, and it was a cold restart. I don't know what that is, but I did one, and I'm now able to be here. So there we go. That's IT technicians for you. Thank God I have friends in the IT world. Listen, I've got 4 books now. I've got up to 4 books for you. Conservation projects that you've been involved in. Excellent. Fantastic. Which will also help us cope with the fact that we go to far-flung places. We do ecotourism. We work with the local people. We do everything we can to, you know, and what you do. And I know people criticize because occasionally, I mean, I do it every 2 years. I go on a long flight. It's a criticism. Yes, I know. But I think my rest of my lifestyle is pretty low key. So that's fine. I think I still have a conscience. Sure. But I've also got Birds of the Great Orme. Why not?
That's not a book.
That's more of a pamphlet than a book, really.
It would be really easy. But the other one is, I agree with Robert. Why not? Your adventures. Come on. You write so lovely. Lovely style. It's easy reading. And that is so important to get across to not people like myself who's committed birder, but to those people who aren't. You know, that's why I love David so much, because obviously he's working with people who don't even know what that is. And, you know, I know Robin, I know Blackbird, but I don't know anything else. You know, that kind of thing.
Something very important we need to do, definitely. Try and broaden everybody's enthusiasm and experience of wildlife here. And it's very easy to do, isn't it? I mean, like you say, just point out a robin or a blackbird or a jackdaw in the street, and it's amazing how people really appreciate it when you do share stuff with them, and how enthusiastic people are once they realise the birds are on the doorstep.
Yeah, I love this one as well. The leader of my council is not known for being particularly eco-friendly. People think he just wants to build houses, build houses, build houses. He does, because we're desperate for them in our borough. However, when he saw in our new Hounslow House building, a smaller civic centre, he was looking out of his window and he saw 2 red kites.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
And he immediately let me know. He was so excited.
So excited.
Brilliant, yeah.
That's great. Isn't
Wow,
it?
you know, we're working on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
pretty
Nice.
iconic bird, but how fantastic he got so enthusiastic about seeing them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. First step.
Yeah.
2 years' time, he'll be out with a pair of bins in his notebook, and that'll be it.
We're working on it.
Keep at it. Excellent. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Deborah's iPad says,
My iPad.
"Hi, Mr.
My iPad.
Are you keeping a list of what you've seen on Orm during lockdown?" And her garden list is stuck at 22.
Oh, wow. Well, that's good. That's quite
Where is
good.
your garden, Deborah? Where are
really
you,
good.
Deborah? Where is your garden?
Hi, so we're in Derby, and hello,
Hello.
Ruth Alan.
Hi,
You
Hi,
took us to
Deborah.
Extremadura about 4 years ago, so
Yep,
did,
we did.
yes.
Remember.
days.
Nice to see you again.
Have you hidden Jonathan somewhere?
Where's Jonathan?
Yeah, he's in charge.
Saw his hand. Just saw his hand. There he is.
So go on, you've got more than 22, haven't you? You've got to.
On the Orm, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
87.
Yes, we have.
87. so
Sorry,
far.
Deborah, where are you? Sorry. Deborah.
Derbyshire,
Yeah.
is it?
Derbyshire.
Derbyshire.
Oh, Derbyshire.
Derbyshire.
Yeah, we're up to 87. That's seen on the Great Orm and from the window. Yeah. So,
Oh, that, yes, okay. From the window widens a bit. So, okay, being in a flat isn't great, but we are on the 4th floor.
we have an amazing amount of
That
sky.
means we've got very extensive views. We
Which
can
is-
see across towards the Little Orme, the whole North Wales coast looking eastwards, and quite a bit of the coast west way and towards the Conway Valley as well. So
So scopes set up in the window all the time. The scope's ready for action at any moment. So I've been incredibly lucky. I mean, well, perhaps we haven't been incredibly lucky. We don't know because we don't normally spend this much time looking out the window. But the amount of birds that passed over or across Llandudno is amazing. Yeah, we're obviously on a peninsula here, so we're very lucky. We're at the north end of the Conway Valley, and so there's a bit of a flyway here, a bit of a migration route, I think. And by being stuck in the house, we've been able to keep scanning the sky, and it's amazing what flies over just looking out of a 4th floor flat window. Yeah, big of list of birds from the window. So gives you hope if you're trapped in a flat or trapped in a house somewhere and can't get out, not as mobile perhaps, then sit by the window with your binoculars or your telescope and just watch the sky. Yeah, we've been absolutely.
David would say, just,
yeah.
Just look
yeah,
up.
that's why he's
Yeah,
wanting
we're
to
looking
scan.
up,
That's
but
what
we're not
David
getting
says.
past 22.
It's amazing what you can see just from an urban window. We are we're living in the middle of a town.
Deborah.
Yeah.
I'm actually in Extremadura now. I've been stuck in a flat for 40 days. And
Oh
40
my
nights.
God.
Yeah, I've been following you on Twitter, so I've seen what you've been tweeting.
37 species I've had, including a grey heron. I heard, actually, I left my phone out recording and I heard a grey heron fly over. So that's
Yeah,
it.
wow. Cool.
Right.
Okay,
Pretty good.
anyone else for any more questions regarding the travel element or anything else for that matter? You're all very satisfied people, aren't you?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Fran, hello, Fran.
Yeah, it's about something else, I'm afraid. As you live in Llandudno, I've got to know, I know Llandudno very well, but I need to know about the goats. Are they still rampaging around the town or what's going on?
Our superstar goats,
Yeah.
media sensation. Yeah,
They
that's
were incredible, weren't they? They went global and viral. They turned up on the front page of the New York Times.
just amazing. Yeah.
Are they still around town or do they get herded back up or what?
No, they're still around town. Yeah, they're still wandering about. Yeah, still enjoying the shops and the peace and quiet streets, and grazing in the flower beds where they're not normally allowed. So,
Well,
free reign of the town. Yeah. I think they should
So
be given the freedom of Llandudno, don't you?
Yeah.
are there any other creatures that have made their way into Llandudno as well?
Yeah, so we saw 2 foxes from the window the other day. Yes, that was the second time I've ever seen a fox from our window. So it was lovely. They were just sitting on outside, not far out the window, just sunning themselves in the early morning sun, totally chilled out. They were there for ages. So that was lovely to see. Yeah, so definitely, and lots more birds coming into the town. Well, we think there's lots more birds coming into town because we can hear them and see them now because there's no disturbance and no traffic.
how do the gulls get on where they normally come and scavenge all the food? What are they doing now?
Well, yes, you know, we are a bit worried that what are they going to do without that supply of fish and chips?
No chips.
Be interesting to see, you know, how the chick population does this year without so much.
Chip population.
Sorry?
Chip.
Chick population,
Chicks.
yes.
Chicks.
Because they found that there was in a sort of coastal fishing town or coastal town, generally the broods are larger, but they are not so long lived. So maybe they're suffering from gull obesity or something. I don't know, it's unhealthy diet. So they're able to raise more chicks, but they're not as healthy. So this year they're having to do it for themselves, aren't they?
Having a more natural diet this year, aren't they?
Yes, yes. I think they're going to find it quite a shock.
Might be eating herrings again, you never know, rather than chicken. Be interesting to see the breeding success this year for sure.
But you know what? They are really useful. We're talking about the birds that we can see from here. Probably our starbird is we've had 4, not really to be greedy, but we've had 4 osprey sightings out of our window here as they've gone by. Because Alan was saying about a migration route, the ospreys do seem to migrate up the Conway Valley and then continue up the sort of Llandudno Peninsula and then up onto the Great Orme, sometimes stopping there before then progressing further over water. But those gulls are a fantastic early warning system. So I don't know where you are in Llandudno, but listen out. If you suddenly hear or become aware of a real disturbance, every gull will suddenly go up and start calling, flying around in pandemonium. The jackdaws will all go up, the feral pigeons are going nuts. And we know, we've learned now that ospreys are coming over. So as soon as we hear the volume going up, that's it. We run to the window, binoculars up, and we're trying to work out which way the osprey is coming. It's not always easy to work out which way it's going, is it? Because I suspect we've probably missed, certainly one we've missed, maybe even 2. But the ones that we've seen, we have one really close coming by.
Actually wanted to photograph it from the window, which is pretty cool. That's got some quite nice photographs of an osprey taken from our window, which is not bad for an urban flat.
So love your herring gulls. They have uses.
They're good birds.
Adrian Bin's iPhone says,
Adrian.
The question that I actually was thinking of asking you anyway, which is, hi guys, good to see you. I know there are so many amazing places, but is there one place you have been to, that you'd go back in a heartbeat?
Hi Adrian.
Hi, Adrian.
That's got to be coming from America then, I think.
Yeah, he's.
Okay, I'm pretty consistent. In a heartbeat, if I can run out the door and go now, assuming I can travel around the world, please, can I go to the Pantanal? My favourite place in the world. We went there in 2008 and I fell in love with it. It's a seasonal wetland in Brazil, massive area, jam-packed with birds and wildlife. And somehow it's one of those places where you seem to be able to get close to wildlife and get really good views of them and good experiences with them. We went back in 2016, just before the Olympics were there. Funny old thing, slight aside, but we stopped in Rio and our hotel was overlooking where the beach volleyball was going to be taking place as part of
Sometimes you get lucky.
Olympics.
Sometimes you get lucky.
Amazing how quickly all the men suddenly found themselves up on the rooftop with their scopes set up, looking out onto the beach.
Looking for the birds.
Amazing, amazing.
Always happens.
But we went back to the Pantanal and I was thinking, well, I loved it so much the first time. Could it really be as good 8 years on? And it was phenomenal. In fact, I would say it was even better. So there's just so much to see there, so much pristine habitat. It's absolutely fantastic place. So please, can I go there tomorrow?
Yeah, no, for me, it would have to be Uganda. We've been lucky enough to travel to Uganda 3 times in relatively recent past. It's a country I've just fallen in love with. It's just fantastic. The diversity of wildlife and the mind-blowing array of birds. And of course, the shoebill is one of the birds. Again, since I was a kid, I've always wanted to see a shoebill. And we've been lucky enough to see shoebills in Uganda. And having our own David Attenborough moment with the mountain gorillas, sitting literally inches away from mountain gorillas, is just absolutely mind-blowing. And they have a wonderful diversity of wildlife there. So Uganda for me.
Where in the world haven't you guys been that you wouldn't have been?
There are loads and loads of places. We're never going to run out of places. We're never going to run out of places. No.
So
it'd be good. Not been to Taiwan yet. Taiwan, yeah, they've done an awful lot of splitting of new birds there. So huge number of endemic birds in Taiwan. So that'd be one of the places I'd really like to go.
Papua New Guinea we've not been to. Madagascar. We
Loads
still need to get to Svalbard.
Yeah, Svalbard would be good. For Alaska would be another good place. Like to see the breeding waders, shorebirds up in Alaska would be amazing. Not seen that yet. Never going to run out of places.
It's going to go long before the
well, the eyesight's going to go first, probably.
Anyone else with questions at all? Alec
got another question. Yep.
So just hi, David, urban birder, and I didn't say hi to Ruth and oh God, Alan.
I have the same problem too. I always just think of Ruth.
Understandable.
Just thinking that with the all this the quarantining, you know, everybody in lockdown. Not only does it you have these experiences of hearing a little bit more, seeing birds in parks and things that not normally there, but I'm wondering if that might really allow birds that, for instance, that nest on the shore that won't be having a disturbance this year. Populations might, you know, triple or something. I wonder if anybody's thought of that.
I hope so. Yeah, I think, like you say, beach nesting birds should surely benefit from this lockdown, shouldn't they? A lot less disturbance, a lot less disturbance in our upland areas as well, particularly where we are in North Wales. Our uplands are very, very busy with human visitors during the summer months and breeding season. So hoping that our upland birds have a really bumper breeding season this year with a lack of disturbance and more time to settle down and nest without any disturbance. So yeah, it's a very good point. I think we could look to an increase in our bird numbers, hopefully. Yeah.
Even in urban areas, Alec, because, you know, some of the people are staying indoors, and, you know, birds are probably finding new territories that they wouldn't have normally have had because they're being really busily visited by people. So I think personally that the early part of spring is going to be good for a lot of birds until we start coming out again.
That's the problem. Yeah.
Unfortunately, in the States, because they've agreed to let people out again ahead of schedule, it means that the beaches in Florida and other places are now packed with people, and hopefully, well, not hopefully, but, you know, unfortunately, it might have meant that some birds may have been disturbed, having found this whole new area without any
wonderful areas of undisturbed habitat are now flooded back to people again before the chicks have fledged. Yeah, it's true.
Places where they wouldn't have otherwise nested because they knew they were already disturbed by people.
Yeah. It's a tricky one.
Here in the southern hemisphere, we missed that, because the lockdown happened in our...
Of course, yeah. In autumn, it's autumn for you guys. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
But it might extend. I mean, some I don't know when this is going to finish. So
how long have you been in lockdown in Argentina, Alec?
About since the end of March.
Yeah, same for us. About the same as us.
Now 4 or 5 weeks without stepping outside.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's hard.
We do have a garden. And so
looks nice.
Wow, that looks very lush.
Insect photos, you know.
Yes.
Keep saying.
So speak to David. I've seen your videos and blogs and things sometime.
Thank you.
He's a lovely guy. We love Alex. He's great.
Yes, we do.
It's interesting looking, because you know what, doing these webinars it's quite fascinating, because you see names that you recognise and you see numbers and just one single letter. I think the person with the best name, apart from Dave, it's a great name. I believe Wycombe Thigh, I think is a great name. Fantastic. Okay, any more questions? Martin Oliver, you're waving your hand. Is that for a cup of tea? Oh, you're asking your wife for a cup of tea?
Come on, ask a question, Martin. Then we can see.
You're live.
We haven't got
All right, come on in a minute.
Is he going to come on in a minute? I mean, it is World Penguin Day, so Penny should make an appearance.
Martin.
Penny's Martin's wife, and she's obsessed with penguins, and it's World Penguin Day today, so.
No, okay, we can't hear you, but...
You've all been posting pictures of penguins today.
Robert Oatis is known as Oatis in Colombia. His name is Robert Oates in England. Robert.
Nope.
You're live, Robert.
Hi there, guys. Another question for you. Do you guys have a bat detector? And have you tried detecting bats from your flat? this is something that more and more people are now doing in Lincolnshire while we're being locked down. With limited ability to view birds, more of us are becoming interested in going out into the garden at night with the bat detector.
That's a good question. Yeah, no, we don't have a garden, unfortunately, but I guess we could hang it out the window. But no, we haven't taken that step yet. But it's an interesting one. Yeah, I'm sure with we have a big lot of sky above us. I'm sure bats must feed over the town at times. The other thing that's getting quite popular with some of our friends up here is this knock migging, where the guys are recording overnight and listening for bird sounds flying over. So that's something we might dabble with in the future. I think, one of our friends at Penryn Bay, Mark Hughes, has been doing it the last couple of nights, and he's already got some very interesting results, things like common sandpipers and dunlin, and he had a redwing night before last, which is quite late for a redwing here. So some interesting stuff that's literally passing over without us knowing. Same with your bats. This stuff's out there, but we don't know it's there. So great to investigate all these things that are up in the night sky.
Okay, we've got a question from Fran.
Oh.
Your hand's up, Fran.
Oh.
No, I think it's been up for a while, actually.
Oh no, that was the question before.
Okay, all right.
All right, I'm sorry.
No problem.
All right, no worries.
I'm just trying to work the chat thing, so sorry.
All right.
Okay. No
Anyone else?
One thing we haven't touched on, David. Oh, sorry, Karina.
Anyone else? Sorry, is
it Karina, was it?
Corinna?
Yeah. I just suddenly thought, have you got a balcony, Ruth?
No.
No access to the roof.
Dreams of a balcony. I can
get to the roof.
Perfectly, but no outside the door.
Perfect place for a balcony.
Well, you might have. I've just wondered about the roof, because some flats you can get to the roof.
No, sadly not.
David is very fortunate because he has that lovely open space that he gets to.
A prison yard.
Even though he's a prisoner.
Yeah, prison yard. Yeah. We are lucky though. Yeah.
Above us,
you've got a scope.
I think the owner might object to us putting a recorder in his flat.
We are very lucky. We've got windows on 3 sides of our lounge, so it's pretty cool. Even though it's a flat, we have got amazing views here. So we can't say seeing 4 ospreys from your window is pretty good.
Don't tell me that, please.
We never knew this.
Obsessed
we never
by
knew these birds are passing. Yeah. Maybe this happens every year. We don't know. We're never here to see this stuff normally. So maybe it's every year. 4 ospreys fly over.
The ospreys seem to be doing very well in North Wales, or Wales. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, ospreys are doing very well at me. Fantastic. Great story. Nice to have some really big success stories. Red kite's another one, isn't it? Fantastic. So sometimes it's easy to slip down into the doom and gloom of everything that's going wrong, but we need to celebrate our success.
Let's keep positive. Let's keep positive. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep positive.
Red kites, ospreys, little egrets. A lot of birds doing well. Marsh harriers doing well. Yeah, so.
Do you think the little terns will do better this year with no disturbance on the shorelines? Yeah.
Well, I think following on from Alex's comment about what was going on in Argentina, I think probably yes. I think the little terns will stand a very good chance, as there should be less disturbance on the beach. I really don't know whether they're still being monitored this year or not, whether volunteers are down there to keep an eye on them. But
that might be a problem.
Yeah.
Because it needs local people, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Very
not many people live that close to the colony, unfortunately. It's quite a way from the nearest houses, the colony, but hopefully they'll be remote enough to be safe. Let's hope so. They had a bumper year last year, so best ever year last year, the little terns in the history of the colony. So
yeah, exactly. Well, I was hoping as a follow-up. So
yeah,
talons crossed.
I hope so, yeah, definitely.
Okay, one quick thing to ask you both very briefly, and that's the other aspect of what you guys do, which is about wildlife crime. Can you just quickly surmise your feeling, particularly when it comes to the hen harrier, in less than 2 minutes starting from now?
Blimey, that's quick. Harrier is an iconic species. Seeing a male hen harrier sky dancing over a moorland is something that is absolutely magical and something that everybody should have the opportunity to see. We're denied that opportunity by criminals that go out onto the moors, destroy hen harriers, kill hen harriers illegally against the law. These people are criminals. They should be prosecuted by the law and stopped. Most of these people are associated with the driven grouse industry, sick sport that massacres vast numbers of birds for no particular reason other than fun, as they see it. Most of the corpses are buried in a pit when the grouse are shot. And for that reason, we have to have our native birds of prey and other wildlife massacred on grouse moors. It needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. So catch the criminals, stop the criminality, and let's restore our moorlands for enjoyment of everybody, not just a select few.
What he said.
Okay, well, I think that's a subject.
When Harry is here, we are able to go out and see these fantastic birds in winter close by, and then in spring and summer as they move up onto the moors and breed. We're able to see them sky dancing, but so many people don't. I think it was Mark Avery said that 10% of the population knows about them and loves them. 10% of the population knows about them and wants to eliminate them. And the other 80% haven't a clue what a hen harrier is. So until they become universal, until they're as likely to feature on the back of a cereal packet as anything else, I don't think we're doing enough for them. We need to get ordinary man in the street who perhaps thinks they only know robins and blackbirds to know and to care about them, because you can't care about a bird until you know about it. And I think we've all got a job to do to make people more aware of just how fantastic these birds and how they are being persecuted illegally. That's the really galling thing. It's against the law. If you, David, wanted to drive down the street here, I can't remember what speed limits are in Spain, but here at 140 miles an hour, as certain people seem to be doing at the moment, you will, if they can catch up with you, get stopped by the police. You're committing a crime. But it seems to be that if you go out and you do harm to a hen harrier, you can get away with it. If you do get caught and you do get to prosecution, then the punishments are minimal, but chances are it won't even come to court and the evidence won't be admissible. So there's two things we need to do. Tighten up on that and make more people aware of them. So more people care and want to protect them. Sorry, was that my 2 minutes? Oops.
Good. Okay. Well, I think it's definitely a subject for another day.
That's a whole edition we could do on that one. Definitely.
Yeah, we'll have to do that.
So much to talk about. Then you got Natural England stealing peregrine falcons.
Yeah. Anyway, moving swiftly on, we're coming to the kind of close of our wonderful time together. I'm going to just one more time open the floor in case there's any last minute questions about anything else that we haven't talked about to ask these wonderful people. Oh, Dave, my mate Dave.
Dave, where's Dave?
Hello.
Hi, Dave.
Hi. Just quickly on.
Hey, Dave.
Hi. Twice in the last fortnight, I've reported farmers to the police for hedge cutting. And on every occasion, because I can't prove that a bird's been disturbed or a nest has been disturbed, the police say it's only advisory and it's not law, therefore they can't take any action.
That's appalling, isn't it? Everybody knows it's the peak breeding season for birds. Birds haven't got anywhere else to nest these days other than in bloody hedgerows. So any hedgerow should not be cut at this time of year. It's absolutely common sense.
And yesterday I went out in the car for the first time in 10 days to go get some shopping. Yeah. I was horrified, even further away from where I live, how many hedges have been trimmed. Well, not trimmed, just hacked.
That's the other thing.
Yeah. Look at the days of laying hedges have mostly gone, sadly, haven't they? These days, just massacre the hedgerows.
I suppose doing it because we're not there.
No.
You say, pick the car out for 10 days. I think they can get away with it. They can flail away with impunity because there's
that's right.
It's exactly what we do with HS2.
Anyway.
With HS2, that's what they're doing now. They're behind our backs. We're all in lockdown.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Back in forest, woods down.
Taking down ancient woodland. Well, everybody else is locked down. Those guys are working within inches of each other. They're allowed to do it because they're doing the government's bidding to make a bloody railway line. It's ancient woodland to do it.
It's definitely a case of one rule for some and one rule for the others, isn't it?
We need to rise up. We need to rise up. Start a revolution.
I have a question from I believe White Can Fly. I got to hear what she got to say.
It's actually Chris.
No, I prefer the first name.
Oh,
that's me. What can you say?
I'm that.
Hello,
Chris.
How are we doing?
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
How's life? Good.
All good. Some good news rather than persecution and hedge destroying news. We've had really high numbers of goldfinches locally.
Oh, wow.
Like unbelievably more than we've ever noticed before. Is that something which can happen just due to natural occurrences, or is it due to the lack of pollution and air travel and things like that at the moment? Or just interested to get your thoughts, really.
Yeah, it's a good question. We've certainly noticed the same here as well. Our goldfinch population seems to have gone
crazy,
bonkers. The commonest bird we see at the moment is goldfinch, which is kind of weird because you can't really think it's to do with lockdown because the population couldn't respond that quickly. You wouldn't have thought, would you? Birds have to breed, have to build a nest, lay eggs and raise chicks. So how could they respond so quickly? But it does seem to have happened. It's a phenomenon, the goldfinch explosion. It's weird, yeah, but I'm afraid I haven't got any logical explanations as to why it is. But they couldn't possibly have nested that quickly.
I'm wondering,
Europe or something,
got used to coming into more urban regions. They seem to be getting quite aggressive. You notice if they're chasing other birds off. I mean, it may just be empirical evidence, but they do seem to, we've seen them as we've been walking around, seeing them chasing other birds off you'd think would hold their own against a goldfinch. So, I don't know, maybe they've kind of...
That's just becoming, yeah.
They're emboldened.
Eh?
They are emboldened.
Emboldened. That's a good word, David. That's a great word. An emboldened goldfinch. You don't want to get on the wrong side of one of them.
I was kind of thinking along the ninja mutant teenage goldfinch theme, but I like emboldened. It's probably more accurate.
I suppose it's possible with less disturbance in our urban areas that the goldfinches have just moved in from the countryside, maybe, and just taken over some of the niches which they weren't looking for before, but couldn't because there was too much disturbance. Yeah. Now
that's what I think. Yeah.
Towns and villages. Yeah. Could be.
Okay.
Yeah, that's some good positive
question.
News. Positive news.
Thank you. I love a question we don't know the answer to.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Brackets, I believe Y can fly. That's a great name. I think we've come to the point where, we're going to have to say tatty bye because, we don't be a
shame. Don't, no.
It's been so nice seeing everyone. I haven't seen so many people for ages. Hi, everyone. I'm missing you.
Been great.
But before you go, a couple of things. I need to ask a few sets of questions. I'm going to go straight into it because, no time wasted. I need to know, number one, from both of you each, your favourite bird.
Choco chicken.
Golden eagle, easy.
Favourite fish?
Cod and chips.
Butterfish. It's a small little eel type fish that black guillemots eat. I love them.
Favourite invertebrate? Have you frozen?
Blue jeans frog. You can have a frog.
That's amphibian.
No, you can't have that.
No, can have that, yeah.
Ladybird.
Ladybird. Bumblebee. There you go.
Okay. Favourite amphibian?
Amphibian. Blue jeans frog from Costa Rica.
Oh, well, I'm going to have the black and green frog if you're going to have the blue jeans.
Favourite reptile?
Adder.
Oh, that's a tough one. Grass snake, I guess, yeah, because they used to keep those as pets as kids.
What about fer-de-lance?
No, we used to keep grass snakes as kids. Cool.
Favourite plant?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Meadow sweet.
Pyracantha.
Okay, and you probably answered this before, but let's ask it again. If you could be anywhere in the world, notwithstanding what's happening at the moment, where would you be right now?
Extremadura with you, David. Definitely. That's where we should have been in Spain right now, so I would love to be back. April is Extremadura for me.
Yeah.
It's the most magical place for wildlife, and to visit Extremadura in April is just paradise for me. So I'll come and stay with you for a few days and go birding.
You're welcome.
We're in Monfragüe, at the far end of Monfragüe. We can sit outside and have beer and tapas, and you can watch beaters and rollers and woodchuck shrikes and all sorts. Yes, we'll be there. Okay.
Fantastic. Well, before we say tatty bye, as I said earlier, I just want to quickly say to everyone listening and watching that the In Conservation series continues tomorrow night. I've got this gentleman from America, he's a birder called Drew Lanham. He's an Afro-American, and basically he's going to be talking about his mission, which is to put colour in the conservation conversation. So it's going to be an interesting conversation about how he's trying to get people of colour interested in birds and wildlife in America. On Monday, we have his countryman. Her name is Sharon Steigler.
That's a great name.
It is. She's a comedian, but also she works as a ranger in a national park. She's a good mate of Bill Oddie's. She's written loads of books on birding. She does a lot of digiscoping and stuff, and she's just here to have a chat on Monday. Both Sunday and Monday start at 9:30 p.m. in UK. On Tuesday at 4:30 in UK, we have Milan Rušić, which you may not know of by name, but he's my Serbian brother. And he's going to be talking about long-eared owls in Serbia and how Serbia is the best place on the planet to see long-eared owls.
Yeah, wow, it's cool. Nice mix of stuff.
On Wednesday at 4:30, we've got writer and journalist Stuart Winter.
All right, good old Stu, Tripper,
Yes.
Tripper.
Ask him why he's called Tripper.
Ask him why he's called Tripper. It's nothing rude, you're okay. You're on safe ground. It's nothing dangerous.
He used to work for the Express, and he's going to be getting all political on me.
He's a lovely man.
And the next one on from then is Saturday. We've got Paul Hackett, who's a really lovely man. He's going to be doing live phone scoping demonstrations. So if you want to learn about using your phone, taking pictures,
fantastic.
Now's that time. You come then. So, guys,
that's a good mix of stuff.
You're going
to be busy, man.
Guys, I'd like to thank you, Alan and Ruth, for coming today and allowing all of us to hear your fantastic stories. And
it's been a pleasure. It's great fun.
Great fun. Thanks for everybody. Thanks so much, everybody.
Coming along.
All invigorated to go travelling, I'm sure. Thank you all for coming, by the way. And I just hope that you all have, keep safe and never forget. The most important thing is always to look up.
Look up.
Look up.
Look up.
For the number 5 Ospreys coming over any minute now.
Exactly.
Thanks, all the best. Thanks, everybody. Bye, everyone.
All again.
Bye.
See ya.
My bad.